All right. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the What Really Happened During the 2020 Kenosha Unrest. August 23rd, 2020, Kenosha, Wisconsin became another city that would make national headlines for unrest following the shooting of Jacob Blake by Kenosha police officer Rustin SHESKY. You're watching part 2 of what really happened. The events that transpired over a 9-day period led to countless rumors, rhetoric, misinformation, and disinformation across social media platforms and by mainstream media outlets. Over 2 years later, the misinformation is still running rampant. Never.Stop Media has been conducting a deep dive investigation on what really happened during the 2020 Kenosha unrest. NSM has compiled thousands of records, including documents, video, audio, images, depositions, and more. During this series, we will show the public what we have learned to be fact and discuss never before released details so the public will finally know the truth about what really happened. During this multi-day series, I ask everyone to remain respectful in the comment section on Facebook and YouTube. While NSM heavily respects the First Amendment, remember, we are not the government, so free speech is not protected here. Please also take into consideration words and phrases that go against platform community guidelines. We are here to learn facts. Any comments that attack the host, me, will result in being banned immediately. There will be no comments that spread misinformation, disinformation, threats, intimidation, or doxing. Comments that resemble any of this will be removed and could result in being banned. Alexa, thank you for tuning in. While 2020 was a time of great contention between political sides that divided all of us, I encourage you all through this series to take a step back and not argue with each other. I promise you, you have all been lied to. Whether you are conservative or Democrat, liberal or Republican, a militia member or protester, you were lied to. Please have civil discourse within the chat. The topics we will discuss through this series don't care about your feelings, and neither do I. Facts of what happened is all that matters. This is not about our opinions of what happened. This is about learning what actually happened. If you are new to the Never.Stop Media platform, then I guarantee you have never seen what we are about to show you. We will be uncovering a lot, so be patient, pay attention, and welcome to the only media outlet with the most comprehensive records pertaining to Kenosha. I cannot pay attention to every comment or question that comes through. If you have a question, I will only respond to the ones that come through on YouTube via a super chat. Our moderators will be focusing on comments, as will our AI moderator. Comment restrictions are turned incredibly high on both Facebook and YouTube. If your comment is not showing, then you more than likely used a word that we intentionally blocked. With that said, everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining in. Please share the stream out. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. Facebook, be sure to like and follow the page. Spam the chat throughout the stream with the little thumbs up and hearts. That helps push us out. Share the stream out everywhere. You guys have Twitters and Facebooks and all type of stuff. Please share the stream out. Now, we have to correct something that I said yesterday. You guys know, if I make a mistake, I will own up to it and I will correct it. Here is the thing, and this has been widely reported, which is partially why we screwed up as well. Okay. Again, this is about fact. We screwed up. Yesterday, we showed you a video of a rioter in Kenosha. After our stream, this is why I love doing these. After our stream, we were contacted by a confidential source that shared a news video with us and some other information. Now, while I can't tell you certain things, I promise what I'm about to tell you is fact. Let's play the video though first, so you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh, they're gonna shoot the gas off the top. Kick that shit back. Gas us! Gas! Gas! You're fucking coward! Don't point it. I'm not pointing already. Gas! 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 They're gonna deploy! They're getting out! Out of the radius as much as possible. I'm not doing it. 10-4 on gas! They're gonna gas! Yeah! Fuck with gas. Get ready to kick that shit. You can't put it back there. They all have gas masks on. Get ready. Gas masks on. Go, go! Hey! Hey! Fucking pussy! Fuck off! Get ready to kick that shit.
Alrighty. Where are we at? There we go. Now, figure out how to use this thing. Yeah, Alexa, some of this stuff bothers me too. There's certain things I can't play. Okay, here's what we have to fix, chat. I'm going to play one more clip, but I want to point these two individuals out, okay? Right here in the video, okay? We see the guy on the left. He fires at the Bearcat. I told you guys during yesterday's stream that this was confirmed, that the Bearcat did take fire. We have it listed in law enforcement records, okay? Not only to the body, but there was also one in one of the windows. Now, none of the bullets went through the vehicle, but the one in the window was close enough. Okay, this did cause law enforcement in the Bearcat to start launching some CS and get the hell out of there. Okay, so this is obviously we're watching it, so we know it happened, but it was also confirmed by law enforcement. Now, due to yesterday's stream, we said that this was a rioter. This has also been posted on other people's platforms about how Kenosha was not peaceful and this was also a rioter. Now, we were contacted, and these two are not rioters. They are not. Okay? We read some things off to you yesterday. in regards to the Fusion Center, right? And Kenosha County Sheriffs that were monitoring social media posts, monitoring posts by the militia group, the Boogaloo Boys. Okay. Now we know that originally the Boogaloo Boys were in favor of protests. They would come out and protect protesters throughout the country. Okay. Some are a little bit more militant than others, right? And we see that with a lot of different of these types of groups. Okay. Some are a little crazier than others. This is from August 24th. Boogaloo Boys were out there. Some showed up August 23rd. Some showed up August 24th. These two members, or these two individuals, are militia. They are not rioters. I cannot tell you how I know that and why, but I promise you what I just said is 100% accurate. Okay? This has been reported all over the place that they were rioters. They are not. They are goddamn militia. Now, what I can't say for sure is that they were part of the Boogaloo Boy group, okay? Because we do know that there are some individual style groups that were out there, right? We've been able to identify 5 different militia groups that were in Kenosha, okay? This individual that's closer to us on the screen, he's seen in other areas with actual militia. Okay, we do know that Boogaloo Boys were there on the 24th, and they were protecting protesters. Now, I know some of you don't want to hear that, but they were. Okay, the 25th was obviously a bit crazier. That's a whole nother story. Out of the Boogaloo Boy members that we've been able to identify, some that were willing to talk to me, they were not militia that were engaging in violent, aggressive acts towards protesters or even rioters. But these two are not rioters. They are militia members. I'm going to play a few other clips because, like I said, this was sent to me, followed by some other stuff. So this was sent to show me some stuff. And then there was a private conversation that was had.
Tonight, amid the unrest in Kenosha this week, self-proclaimed militia members, including 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, the Illinois teen charged with killing 2 protesters, will remain in custody in Illinois for the next month after a judge delayed his extradition hearing. But what are militias allowed to do, and what lines were crossed in the confusing and deadly night that led to Rittenhouse facing murder charges and potentially life in prison? We have a team of reporters in Kenosha tonight. Let's start with Chris Ty.
Brad, every state in this country prohibits the use of private paramilitary groups. These are similar to the militias that we saw here in Kenosha this week. And when they decide on their own when to mobilize, when to use deadly force, all while answering to no one, they are violating the very laws they claim to be defending. Georgetown professor Mary McCord has offered to help local authorities with litigation against militia organizations. State National Guards are technically militias, but unlike the Kenosha militia, they answer to governors. They follow protocols. Safeguards militia organizations don't have.
Okay, so there you saw another individual at the end of that clip, not a rioter. So the rhetoric that is going around that you had rioters out here armed with, we got to be careful with some verbiage, with the big scary guns. We'll just call it that. All right. I know most of us don't think that. Well, some of us don't, but the big scary guns, we're just going to call it that. Okay. Not everybody that was there, especially on the 23rd and the 24th, was a rioter with a big, scary gun. There were actually militia in the early parts of the Kenosha 2020 unrest that came because they did not agree with what happened to Jacob Blake. And they came out to protest against law enforcement. And they were protecting the protesters and even the rioters in the beginning from some craziness from law enforcement. So I needed to correct that. Okay. It was not a rioter. They were militia. Now, yesterday we talked about some aggressive behaviors when it came to law enforcement, militia. Okay. We talked about protester tires getting slashed. I mentioned that a Waukesha sheriff knew about it. We got text messages, other types of documents. Lieutenant Michael Anderson. He is a Waukesha Sheriff Division supervisor. Here's what happened with him. He was there. Through an open records request with the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, NSM received dozens of documents, including group text messages between sheriffs. This is the same county where former Wauwatosa police officer Joseph Mensa is now employed. Alexa says her tires were slashed. A whole group were. All right, here we go. That used to be a conspiracy theory by protesters. I released this article once we found all this stuff out, and it's not. It's factual stuff that happened. One series of messages stood out from Lieutenant Michael Anderson, who currently serves in the Metro Drug Enforcement Unit as a division supervisor. Anderson was hired into WCSD in 2018. We had to do a little digging because Anderson refused to tell NSM what department he came from, having over 20 years of law enforcement background. Anderson also sits on the Association of SWAT Personnel as vice president. Prior to Waukesha, he served as a deputy sheriff with the Washington County Sheriff's Department from 2002 to 2018. He is also a substitute teacher with the Richfield Joint School District since 2013, and a group exercise instructor with the YMCA of Greater Waukesha County. Hang on one second. Where do you see that, April? I don't see that. Let me know how you saw that. I can't see that from Nightbot. I don't give a shit if people are restreaming me. Just come over here. If people are restreaming, just come over here and watch. Okay, so he's also a group exercise instructor with the YMCA of Greater Waukesha County. Prior to all of that, Anderson served in the Wisconsin Army National Guard as a military police officer from 1998 to 2006. Most of the text messages between Anderson and Captain Neil DeSalt. So some of you may not have an idea of who Captain DeSalt is, but during the Brooks trial, Captain DeSalt, thank you, grandkids. Captain DeSalt was in the courthouse, so he's like the head person. Okay, actually, kind of a nice guy. From what I met at the Brooks trial, I have not dug into him to see if he's a piece of shit or not. He seemed very nice, cordial, super friendly when I met him during Brooks. One word of advice: so are people on YouTube. So Kyle is not a great man. He is not a hero. We're not allowing that shit. Okay, none of that. You're not a hero for offing people. Now, Captain Neil DeSalt, who works within the Waukesha County Courthouse, consists of checking in with team members, asking what they are seeing and if they need anything. Anderson claimed to not remember anything from the Kenosha unrest back in August 2020, including what was written in the text messages. NSM was met with quite a bit of resistance and attitude when we confronted Anderson. He stated, "I don't remember. If it's written, then I wrote it." If you were a protester during the Kenosha unrest, you probably are aware that tires were being slashed to prevent protesters from leaving the area. Some thought it was the FBI. And militia members were laughing, including members from the Kenosha Guard, Kevin Mathewson's group, were laughing about how the rumor went around that the FBI was slashing tires. It was not true. It was not the FBI. It was militia, mostly done by Mathewson's group, the Kenosha Guard. We talked yesterday that some of them, from a confidential source within Mathewson's group, the Kenosha Guard, said that some of them were zip tying protesters, holding them down, waiting for law enforcement. Now, during a private conversation NSM had with an anonymous Kenosha Guard militia member, this individual bragged, just what I said, this individual bragged about how they were going around and slashing tires and snatching up protesters and handing them over to law enforcement. They thought it was funny that this was being blamed on actual law enforcement. In one of the text messages from Lieutenant Anderson on the night of August 25th, 2020, approximately 10:30 p.m., he writes, "Gotta love counter protesters slashing tires." This is the first time we have seen anything in writing that law enforcement actually knew that militia was causing property destruction, yet not a single arrest was made to any militia member. Anderson refused to comment on this portion of the text message other than, "I don't remember." This is extremely discriminating and one-sided. Here we have a sheriff with 20 years of experience choosing when to uphold the law and who it should be applied to. Militia and racist doesn't seem to fall into that category for Lieutenant Anderson. In the next series of messages following the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting at approximately 1:07 a.m., of course, Lieutenant Anderson had something to comment regarding this situation. He writes, "Listening to the gunfire, such a nice night." They have a live stream on Twitter. He then links a YouTube video and comments again with "nice video." Again, Anderson had no comment other than, "I don't remember." NSM asked him his thoughts on the Rittenhouse shooting, and he responded that his opinion didn't matter. He defensively asked what my thoughts were on the Rittenhouse shooting, and when I responded I thought Rittenhouse broke the law, Anderson responded, "Well, my personal opinion doesn't matter." Anderson refused to clarify any of the text messages he wrote that night or comment on anything further. An alarming element of this is that on paper, Lieutenant Michael Anderson appears to be a stand-up officer and very involved in his community as well as others. But when you see messages like this, where a high-ranking officer is selectively applying the law and showing support to racist militia members for vandalizing personal property and shooting and killing people, it leaves to question his interactions with Black and brown children within the Richfield School District and people of color on the streets of Waukesha County. It's always this hidden racism and quiet support of dangerous militia within law enforcement. Lieutenant Michael Anderson is not an example of good law enforcement or a leader within our communities. Now, we also confirmed that Kenosha law enforcement was also aware of this, and they have done nothing. We sent this stuff to Kenosha and asked them if they were going to investigate any of this. Kenosha said that they would look into it. Upon further investigation, we found that Kenosha decided they would not look into it. They were not going to investigate Lieutenant Anderson. Waukesha sheriffs as well also declined to investigate Lieutenant Anderson for knowledge of militia destruction, cheering on gunfire, They were not going to look into any of it. There was no investigation ever done on Lieutenant Anderson. Now, if you're on YouTube, that article is being shared via the links. Let's get into some other videos. I'm going to play a quick video. You guys know who this is.
I won't walk him over. I'll put you in a squad car and arrest you. Okay,
Right.
grab your stuff.
I think it's fair to wait for him to
I'm gonna ask you one more time. Pick up your stuff and
No,
stop
what I'm
walking, or you're
telling
gonna
you
get
is that
arrested.
you just got arrested last night and you're putting us in a fucking difficult position every time. Just don't be out here after
Goodbye.
curfew. We don't want to deal with it.
Goodbye.
There's nothing to report anyway. There's nothing. What we were trying to show.
Well, how long does it take? What is it?
There's been nobody out here for a couple hours.
Short amount of time.
Right, but
So we were
after
just trying to
curfew,
report everything, and then that's it.
like from 6 o'clock on, there's been nobody here.
Ma'am, keep walking.
I'm going
I want you to walk.
397. I'm walking. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
If I
I'm
walk-
walking. You don't
Goodbye.
need to touch me.
Goodbye.
I'm walking. You don't
Okay.
need to touch me.
Goodbye.
At this point, you're just showing all of us how little your dick is. I'm
You're
out.
You're under arrest.
For what?
Disorderly conduct and curfew.
I'm not. You've got four. Don't touch
Ma'am?
me. I haven't done anything.
She's under arrest.
For what? For what? I haven't done anything. I'm not doing anything. You literally. I literally. He's
Calm
like
down.
waiting for this.
Calm down, okay?
What are you?
Okay. Put your phone down, ma'am.
Hey, can I give him my phone?
Put your phone down. You're under arrest. Well, we're not trying to break it.
Got myself and started walking. So now what are you arresting me for?
You're like a child.
Don't tell me I am. Like I was walking away.
Okay. You guys remember that night? That's the night that Katie got arrested. Now, a lot of you, because I was walking around with Katie, okay? So if you remember Katie, she showed up with Andrew and CJ. Everyone, please stop fucking messaging me. She showed up with Andrew and CJ. Now, we've told this story before. What most of you don't know is that Katie and CJ were romantically involved. They met in Seattle. The real story, not the bullshit story that CJ TV tells you. The real story is that Ian, with Concrete Reporting, interviewed Katie. It was his first interview. He then went home, talked to his buddy CJ, and said, bro, you got to come out here and meet this girl. Showed him the interview. Now, CJ publicly tells everybody that he went out and started filming and live streaming Seattle because he was curious, and what was happening or what was being reported by mainstream media wasn't accurate to what was happening in Seattle. That is a bullshit story. That is not true. He didn't go out there to show everybody what was really happening. He went out there because Ian talked him into going out and meeting Katie after he showed him the interview. Sometime later, the two of them fell in love, had a romantic relationship. Now, I'm going to show you a video of Katie in Seattle. Most of you have never seen this. Some of you have. We edited a lot with this because we only showed the Katie portions, but this came from two videos that you can find on YouTube. Katie's protest name in Seattle was Mama Bird.
Have it just a little farther. There we go.
Or no, even this thing right here. I'll take
That probably works best.
My name's Katie, and here I'm known as Mama Bird. And I started the No Cop Co-op here on the corner of 11th and Pine, which is in the heart of Chaz. Immediately after they removed the barricades, people took the time to start repainting the streets over the tear gas. It's such a visceral feeling of solidarity and community, and I'm so sorry, I'm so tired, but I'm so blown away by how this has evolved.
Sorry, I just wanted to say I heard you say Chaz, and it's CHOP now. It's not an autonomous zone, it's an occupied protest.
Okay, Okay. So now it's chopped. What you see here was within 24 hours. This is called the No Cop Co-op. Literally, I started because I forgot my sign up there. After running for my life, and I came back the next day because I wanted to get it, and I saw this food because people had abandoned it. You've seen people donate. That was already happening, and I started with one bag. I asked on Twitter for a tent. 10 minutes later, someone's like, I have one. We got cases upon cases of milk yesterday. The local businesses are bringing pints of ice cream. As a joke, because we didn't need anything, we asked for a basketball hoop, and that was delivered within a few hours.
Well, do you work? Do you have a job? Are you furloughed? Are you?
No, I have a job, but I can work remotely.
Okay, there's some clips of Katie in Seattle. And you guys remember CHOP, and then it's Chaz, or Chaz, and then CHOP, whatever. Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. If you guys remember Kenosha, after CJ and Andrew left to go to Washington, to go film Washington, D.C., to go film some stuff out there. Because remember, they were headed out there. They were in Chicago, all of them. And then the shooting of Jacob Blake happens. So they were close. They come to Kenosha and they start live streaming. That's how all of us started seeing everything that was going on. When they left, the real story is this. From the Seattle incidents, Katie was picked up by law enforcement after law enforcement came and destroyed CHOP. Okay. Most of you had suspicion that she was an informant of types. What I'm going to tell you is that your suspicion is accurate. Okay? I don't give a fuck about talking about this right now. The suspicion is accurate. Now, I will say, because of her involvement, which was very deep in the situation in Seattle, Katie lost a lot of shit, including her family and her kids. She was originally a protester, and she is facing serious charges. Now, she became an informant to get out of those charges, hence why she was all over the country. Now, while we were in Kenosha, after the boys left, I was walking around with Katie. We were filming together. A lot of you were freaking out, trying to warn me. The real story is that I already knew. I'm not dumb. This was the greatest story that NSM could have ever picked up. Protester takes over city block, takes over police department, now turns Fed informant. I already knew, guys. Okay? If you remember, Katie had an Airbnb after the boys left. And I stayed with Katie for several days. You also remember what the night she got arrested. And I'm going to show you, we showed the little clip. I'm going to show you how that night started, because this is a very important part in what I'm going to be talking about. The night she got arrested, I was standing right there. I have video of this too, because I was with her. I panic. I call CJ, call Andrew, freaking the fuck out. CJ likes to live stream everything, except when he's lying. I'm trying to inform him of what's going on. And he publicly tells all of you that Katie is not a representative of CJTV. That was a lie. That is not true. The real story goes like this. CJ, as most of you can tell, even with his current streams, has no fucking idea how to work electronics, how to work computers. Somebody has to help him. No problem. Not a big deal. I need help sometimes too. CJ told everybody that he lost his page. Okay? No, CJ told everybody that he lost his page. Okay. If you guys are on YouTube, we have some members that are gifting memberships. You have to be very active on the channel, though, in order to receive it. CJ told everybody that he lost his page because he filmed a mainstream media person. You don't lose your page because you filmed a fucking person. Okay? He told Andrew this too. This is partly why Andrew separated from him, because he lied to his best friend. The real story, those of you that understand how to work Facebook and you've created groups, you know, trial groups or whatever kind of groups you guys do, okay? You have your personal Facebook page. You can create pages from that or create groups from that. Katie created the CJTV Facebook page, that page that you all watched him live stream off of. They had broken up behind the scenes, and the plan was to go their separate ways amicably, tell you guys publicly that Katie was not going to be part of CJTV anymore. She was going to go do her separate thing, like and follow her platform. She's good people, blah, blah, blah. Because she got arrested while CJ wasn't here and dropped the CJTV name, he publicly outed her as not being part of the company. That was a lie. Katie, from her Facebook page, created the CJTV platform. The reason CJ had to lie about all of this is because there was a lot of money coming in from all of you. And if he admits that Katie is part of this and this starts getting into a further discussion, legal issues start coming into play. Who owns the company? Who's entitled to what? All this box of crazy. Now, you're like, Kevin, how do you know this? Well, because I was staying with Katie in the Airbnb for several days. So while he's publicly bashing her on live streams and telling you guys all a bunch of bullshit, when he separates from his sister and other people that he was around and he's finally alone, he was calling her on the phone. And the two of them were crying their eyes out about how they couldn't be together. And other times they were arguing. He was begging her to get his page back because obviously there was very crucial shit that CJ live streamed. I was there. I listened to all of this. Some of the conversations were on speakerphone. Others were not. Now, during all of this, Andrew helped CJ build up another platform. Okay. Andrew finds out later on from me that CJ lied to him. It's one of the reasons he separated. There's many others. Okay. We told you guys yesterday while CJ was live streaming and pretending to elevate voices, in the background, CJ was sharing militia posts, which ultimately helped organize those people even more and ultimately put people's lives in danger, including his best friend, Andrew. Now, while I was staying with Katie and she had gotten arrested, some of you remember my live stream where I met up with her after she was released the following morning. Okay. We were all excited, whatever. Again, everybody was freaking out, trying to warn me. Again, I already knew. Katie was telling me how she became an informant. She thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And me, I just fangirled out because I wanted to hear all of it. I wanted to hear all the juicy details. I wanted to write about this. I never have, because at the time we were, basically if I would have came out with this at the time, we would have been fucking up a federal investigation and we would have been outing a federal informant. Right now, I don't give a fuck. You guys deserve the truth. Nobody's really seen Katie. She's popped up here and there, very concealed, but she's vanished. It's kind of interesting that happened. But Katie told me after she was released, when we went back to the Airbnb, she was kind of in a panic, and she had to set up this time with the FBI so she can meet with them. Now, I took a picture of her FBI contacts while she was not in the room. I took a picture of a lot of different things. I'm not going to show you guys. I do have it, though. So, you know, when people want to start challenging me on my receipts, I do have this shit. Okay. I took pictures of all of these things. And later, there's multiple phone calls between her and the FBI about trading the SD cards that they took when she got arrested and then giving them more SD cards. I was with her for all of this. I heard all of this when she met with the FBI. I was there. I watched this shit happen. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you guys some paperwork. And we've done a stream about this before. It's made private now. Some of you have not seen it. I'm going to show you guys paperwork. I'm going to show you her arrest paperwork. Okay. But for now, I want you guys to watch how this stuff started that night. And what you're about to see, we came out of a house that was, I'd probably say 2 blocks away from this position, maybe 3 at the very most. We hadn't even gone live yet, and we were immediately stopped by Kenosha Police Department. Okay. Now, a lot of you are like, oh my God, Kevin, you're so nice to the police. Every time I get stopped by law enforcement, you guys all freak the fuck out. And you're like, why are you so nice to the police? Because I fucking need to be. That's why. Number one. So if you're a protester, shut the fuck up. I will always be respectful to law enforcement. Okay. Number two, I was also kind of dumb at this point and not really challenging people. Plus, I had my own shit going on, and I just got arrested the night before. Okay. We can talk about my arrest on another stream with their falsified documents. So we get stopped by Kenosha. There's another set of people that walk up during this. They are the FBI. The FBI cleared us, told Kenosha to stand down, allowed us to walk around further. Okay. Now, we have reason to believe the same guy that arrested me the day before, Pablo Torres, we've talked about him at great length, stopped us again. We have reason to believe that this was actually a staged arrest just to get her in so that she could off camera meet with the FBI. You'll hear Katie while I'm talking to actually a very cool Kenosha cop, because there are a few. I'm talking to him about fishing. Pay attention in the background because Katie is informing. I want you guys to watch this.
Going over by courthouse and
media walking to the courthouse.
Yep.
And who are you with?
Kenosha Police Department. Take your bag up. Take your bag up. You guys know we got a 7 o'clock curfew?
Yeah, but it doesn't apply to us. The ACLU just actually sent me the credentials. So I actually am able to pull up.
Take your bag up. It applies to you guys. It applies to everybody. There's nobody exempt from it.
I literally just got it sent from the ACLU. Can I get my phone out and show you?
Well, I don't care what they say.
We're clearly identified as press. I'm with CJTV.
You're still out after the curfew, right?
No, it does not apply to us.
It does apply to you. Just because somebody told you it doesn't mean that
the statute does not apply. If you pull up the curfew, media is exempt. We are abiding by exactly what you've asked us to do. Clearly marked. I had to make you things. And we're not interfering.
You ID these guys, folks? Yeah. You guys have your ID?
it's on my. I can reach for this badge.
Yeah.
You sure? It's on the back side of the badge.
Where are you guys from?
I live here in town, sir.
From Kenosha?
Yes, sir. Yep. How you guys doing tonight?
We're good.
Staying safe?
We're trying.
Yeah, man.
We're not trying to harass you, you know?
No, I know.
We just
Yeah.
see you walking down the street with backpacks and
No, that's why
don't know
we
what's in
try to.
them and-
That's why we try to
yeah.
tag everything up as press and.
Right.
Yeah, we were just literally walking to the courthouse to go hang out with the other mainstream media and just kind of hang out in case, you know, anything goes down. And
Right.
it's been awesome, like an amazingly quiet night, and
That's what we're hoping
which is
for.
amazing. So a lot of the Kenosha residents, like they count on me, especially being a resident here in
Right.
Kenosha. Just kind of show them like, hey guys, everything's fine. Like you guys can rest easy. You know, super peaceful. Like
You got anything
guys,
in the bag,
just
man? Anything illegal?
no
Any
sir,
bombs?
no bombs,
Fireworks?
nope.
Anything
Everything's
like
all
that?
camera gear.
Okay, you mind if I
100%.
check? Make sure.
I mean, I'd rather not because it is camera gear and I am oppressed, but 100%, I guarantee you there's nothing illegal in there.
Okay,
There's
you
no
don't want me
bombs, there's
searching
no
that?
there's
What
no
you're saying?
weapons. Katie, should I, do I give the officer permission to search the bag? I told him that it's all
You
camera.
don't have anything to hide, and just complying is,
That's what, yeah.
is the right. You don't
Okay.
technically like by the statute, but
Okay, I'm gonna tell you this.
That's fine.
The press is not exempt from this. Okay, 100% not exempt. It's our discretion. Okay.
Sure.
If we want to hold on curfew, we're gonna hold on curfew. I was just told this by my commanding supervisor. If we want to hold, we can hold. Okay. I'm gonna tell you this also. That 90% of the people that we come across are saying they're press,
Right. No, I understand that.
and they're not press.
Right.
I hear you. I mean, I've been in Portland every week.
Right.
Thoughts and numbers every weekend. Like, I hear you for sure. But like I said, like once for like on behalf of CJC,
Where are you from?
I'm from Seattle. We've been here since an hour after the first shooting. Every night. I'm usually behind the camera, or I'm doing the back end. I usually do the live stuff. For us, we truly have remained neutral, unbiased. I mean, I know that your officers told us after the first night that they were watching our screen to help keep an eye on what was happening.
Right. And this is
And I can say
same
this,
thing
like
with
I'm
me
not
too.
live right now, like CJ and I, like this was very hard being there this first night. This was seeing your officers.
Who are you?
I'm with Never.Stop Media. It's on my bag.
He's usually.
I'm a resident of Kenosha. I've been walking around with CJTV and Mercado Media. I'm the gentleman that filmed Officer Albright. So because I am a resident of Kenosha, same thing. I've been trying to make sure that you guys are shown in a positive light, showing the citizens of Kenosha, what's actually going on nights that it's super peaceful. Like, guys, there's nothing to worry about. We don't need to be, stressed out and all that. So that's why, and
So
like
I
the
said,
National
though,
Guard.
Everyone we've been encountering is either a medic or a press. Everybody.
Sure.
Everybody we've talked to.
Right.
And for 90% of them, that's a cover, so they think they can walk away, but they're actually throwing rocks and bombs.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
Grenades, right?
Right.
So that's why we're checking everything out.
Sure.
Okay.
We understand.
Checking
I mean,
bags to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the bags we check, if there's nothing illegal in them, people are on their way.
Yeah, I have
Okay?
camera
We just
gear.
don't want the building lit on fire down
No.
the road because we failed to do what we had to do to keep this community safe.
Understandable.
I hear you. I mean, just like CJ, and I personally, we were standing there when the girls were hit by a car in Seattle. We came up on a scene. We've seen more dead bodies from things that we know what to do with.
Right.
And CJ's been gone for the last 4 days because his sister's coming back with him from Maryland. Like, he's at his wall.
Right.
And the thing is, like, when I was saying that we came here, this Kenosha broke us in the sense that this city, your solidarity and your community, and like the nicest LREP we've ever heard, which is like, please don't do that. We'll tear gas you. Thank you.
Right.
It's been really, really hard to be unbiased and not want to get in and say you are destroying something that you have no business destroying. And that's where our hands are tied because we have to remain neutral. But like you've seen with CJ, and I know you don't see me as much, but like we are ethos and our core values as like, so it's CJ and me. I'm his co-founder. I'm Katie, CJ. we will put our bags down and our cameras down and do what's right every time. We did that 2 weekends ago in Portland. And I just as a suggestion, as a female, I'm not going to do the rant that like I need a female officer here. I'm going to tell you that I just got done with the bruise on my arm from an officer grabbing me so tight
Here?
in Portland when we were being kettled on an overpass, and they knew us. They knew us, and they ripped my press patch. And my point is that I've never had a bruise from a man the first time I got it from an officer. So when you come up to me, I'm still human, and I'm still learning that, or I'm learning for the first time that maybe I can't trust officers. So, and that's nothing to you guys or anything, but I've never been pulled over for anything in my life. I had a speeding ticket in 2015. That's the last time. So this is new for me, and I've gotten stronger. I don't stutter as much, and CJ literally yells at me in Portland. He goes, "Why do you keep running towards the officers?" I go, "I don't know. I have to undo 34 years of feeling like they're my safety." And I'm not saying that that's what's happened in Kenosha at all. It's been the exact opposite. But
Sure, and listen, I don't want to. I mean, we could talk about this all night. Whatever.
So, I've been walking around filming all the beauty with Kenosha to, because mainstream media is kind of painting our city as like it's a war zone. You know what I mean? So I've been trying to interview, the people of Kenosha and all the paintings that have been going on.
It's more just about sport. It's like more just about laws. Like abide them, don't follow the rules, don't interview, don't. But they're like, thanks for showing the flowers.
No, I
it is good too.
Yeah, no, I
there's
just
good people, there's bad people out here, right?
Right.
What we're doing is making sure that the community's safe. Part of that is taking a peek in your backpack and make sure you don't have any hazardous, right?
Yeah, no, it's 100%. It's camera gear
Everything
and
you said, you should understand that.
For sure, I heard
sure.
what happened to Riot Kitchen, and I was like, they fucking asked for it. They told us a bunch of gas canisters.
Right.
Expect that.
Right.
yeah, I have camera gear
And
in
I'm
my
off
bag
record,
and
like,
some
I can
medical
say that,
supplies
like,
in case
it's
I
like,
get hurt.
That's asinine. Like, what the fuck were they thinking?
So that being said, we were told, hey, cut the press some brakes. They didn't say we can't press them. They said cut them some brakes, cut them some slack. Yeah. Okay? But we have to distinguish who's pressing who's not pressing.
Sure.
Right.
All right?
Like the first night, there was 2 people standing next to me live streaming, and they said, "You're okay because I had credentials, and you 2 need to leave." It would help press if you said, "Swing by our precinct and get a permit or get this," because if you just tell us, follow these steps, those that are pressed and here for the right reasons,
we'll
do
actually
that.
do it right.
Oregon might be able to do that, but this is 7 days, right?
Oh no,
and we're not
every day's a year
prepared for a riot, so we can't really implement plans, right? Saying, hey, if there's ever a riot, you guys need to. Well, we're not going to do that, right? We're hoping that never happens. Well, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Unfortunately.
we have a lot of plans in place, but not for riots.
Sure.
So
And
that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, make this quick and easy. Let me check your bags. You guys are good. We'll get you out of here. All right?
For sure.
Yeah, I got like I said, camera equipment in the front pouch. I got
I'm not going to tear it up. I'm not in the business to damage stuff,
You're
guys.
good. Do you mind if I turn my light on so I can help you see? Or all right.
The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine?
Snacks. If you guys are hungry, feel free to grab a Cliff Bar. It's camera equipment there. I also do have a secondary press pass from ministry as well as my tags that are on my bag. And then inside there, I do have, like I said, medical equipment in case I do get injured, some backup drinks, and a rain jacket.
If you can run out, can we check his name? I have Jay's name.
So they started in Seattle, actually. It's I'm gonna walk back to the house. It's my I do, but I didn't want to bring it to the right street. But I'm gonna go back and get it. Oh, I know, but every city is different. This is where I asked my parents. The Riot Kitchen started as mutual aid and food in Seattle and then they grew and they raised money to get a Sprinter van, and then they took that Sprint down to Portland. And I would put them more in the anarchy category.
Can you hit me with your light now?
And
can you hit me with your light?
Revolution is actually from Portland. They were like
Not even open yet.
Just like you guys can have
I think I put bug spray in there. I think in this pouch if you want some. You sure? It's some good. It's like a lemon and eucalyptus one.
Yeah, all natural stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. Yeah, like I said, we were just headed to the courthouse to go hang out with the other mainstream media, kind of.
Now we understand. Like
see
I said,
what
we're
they're
not
up to.
we're not trying to rash, we're not trying to bust balls, but
Yeah, you guys got to check and make sure people are. You know,
yesterday we stopped a guy walking out here 8 o'clock at night. I'm pressed. Don't worry about it. We look in his bag. 3 gas masks, fireworks. Clearly not pressed. You
right.
know? He just
Well, I had a
his
guy
show.
the other day when I was walking. I think it was the night with Ninja Girl with the swords.
Yeah.
I was walking past and he's like, hey man, come here. And I'm like, yeah, what's up, buddy? And he's like, oh, it's okay, I'm pressed, I'm undercover. And I'm like, no, bro.
Right.
But like, what the fuck?
Exactly. So you know, see, we're kind of up against.
Yeah. No,
we can't. Everybody's using either press or medic as a cover, and next thing you know, there's fireworks going off, buildings are on fire. So
right.
You know.
Rebel.
We're not trying to harass the actual press. We're just trying to make sure you are the actual press. You know.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So sorry. Right. Yeah.
You guys heard of anything
Tonight
or in the coming future?
No, honestly, I've been trying to reach out to some of the people that have, been out here. Like, you guys planning, what's going on? There's no word. I mean, even tonight, I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna come out because it's dead. I've not gotten any word of anything going on. I know, like, being at work, I work at Durango's over here. I'm a cook, but I know like a lot of staff and stuff are concerned about Trump, coming in town and what could happen with, with opposing viewpoints and things like that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, that seems to be like the biggest concern.
That's our concern too. That's
Yeah.
what we don't want. We want to make sure that just when everybody seems to be calm and we got this thing under control, that he's going to show up like a tinderbox and this place is going to go up. So
Right.
No, they follow the.
Yeah, that's always a tricky situation, with even if this stuff wasn't going on already, just with a presidential, whether a candidate or the actual president coming into town, and some people like him, some people don't. It is,
Exactly.
Right.
What do they always say? Politics and religion are the two things that everybody always has an opinion on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Any communication with any of these dudes?
With which dudes?
Antifa.
I'm an independent journalist.
You got connections.
I don't talk to any of these guys like that. I try to stay completely neutral. I literally just film what I'm seeing.
You ever get tips when they're coming in or anything? Or she getting tips? She must have some connections.
I don't know anything about that, honestly.
Do you ever get like tipped off or anything? Like, hey, be filming here because something's gonna happen.
I try not to even like respond,
In
like
Kenosha
ask.
or in general?
In general.
You got connections with these people that are doing these riots, whether it be
I would say that we don't have connections as much as we have experience. We're on day like 80, so we can kind of, like, for example, when I was texting directly with the ACLU, and I was asking, and they said, oh, well, Bill Barr is going to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, here we go. And she said, yep. So we can kind of predict who's going to come in and what we're expecting to see. Like the fact that I don't have riot gear on right now, I don't have a helmet.
That's because nothing's going on.
No,
Yeah, that's why. Like my helmet's
no,
not
but,
even
like, the
attached to
night
my leg
that
like
the
it usually
girls
is.
were in
You know what I
Seattle,
mean?
we were calling it a night
So
where
it's
the
like
girls-
it's been so damn quiet.
And then they were hit, and so I actually met. This is who I would talk to if you can find him. I met a man yesterday who's here as a journalist for NPR. He's been 3 years with the white supremacist group undercover for the last year. He's doing contract work with NPR right now. He's a photojournalist with them. He's a larger man, and like I said, I met him yesterday. So I was actually wanting to go out tonight to see which media was out here, because the other thing is people. Are you live?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you turn it off?
I mean, I'd rather not, but I'm more than
Like, so it's I'm gonna lose credit.
if me and the officer want to back
Yeah,
up.
we'll go here and check.
Okay, so right there towards the end of that, you hear, "Are you live streaming?" And I say, "Yeah." And she says, "Can you turn it off?" I'm like, "Well, I'd rather not." Because right now I'm very green at this point. I'm not a live streamer. I'm just started doing this. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I know a little bit, but not much. I'm trying to not get arrested right now. And remember, I was not on, I was not pro movement at this time though either, right? Now I know that they're fishing for information because you hear them plainly ask me, are you connected with these people? Do you get any tips? All this stuff. And then they're like, well, she probably is connected. Okay. So they go off and talk. Some FBI comes out. Okay. Now we played Katie gets arrested. Okay. Now you guys have seen me get stopped by law enforcement before. You saw me out in Wauwatosa. Okay. You've seen me, recently. I'm very different now. I'm still very polite, but once you start crossing that line of, are you press, I'm happy to give them my credentials, right? I'm happy to give them the ID. That's fine. Whatever. Some of the shit I don't have to do, but I'm happy to do it. Whatever. Let's just end this fucking conversation and get on with both of our jobs. Okay. Now, here's Katie's arrest paperwork. So this is from Kenosha Police Department. Okay. Now this is probably an hour and a half, 2 hours later, right? We're walking around the city. We're live streaming for everybody. She's on hers. I'm on mine. She's talking to the National Guard. She's being kind of fucking snarky. So they wrote it up as suspicious. So this is where I've said before in streams that they fabricated police reports. This is not obviously true. I mean, you see that we've just had interaction with Kenosha, and then the FBI will come out. Okay, you guys can go back and watch that. Put it as suspicious. They did the same thing with mine as well. Okay, and then they have failure to comply with the emergency order, right? They have to put that statute in there. But what was suspicious about what we did? We literally walked out of the house. We walked 2 blocks and were immediately stopped. And then they found out who we were. Okay, here's more of the arrest details, how they write everything up. Okay, here's her name. More of the arrest stuff. JD says, if you refused, what would they have done? Yeah, they probably would have arrested me anyway. I mean, they arrested me the night before anyway. So, and I like during the whole encounter that we played the little clip of Katie getting arrested, they almost arrested me again. It was back and forth. Okay, well, we're going to arrest you. No, we're going to arrest her. No, we're arresting you. No, we're arresting her. And then very fucking creepy, they're like, get out of here. Leave. and then they went and grabbed her. So here's suspicious again. When did I start to put the pieces together? I think it was like 2 days after I'd met her. There was shit that she was saying that didn't make sense. I've worked with informants before, so shit that she was saying sounded very informant-like. And then I asked her. So here it is. On 8/31/2020, Officer Rockweiler, Officer Johnson were assigned to working second shift patrol in full Kenosha PD uniform and in fully marked squad. At approximately 22:01, we responded to the 900 block 56th Street to assist Officer Torres 397 take a subject into custody. So this is her arrest. The subject was identified by her Nexus photo ID. Her name, Katie, was in violation of the state of emergency curfew. She was taken into custody and transported to the Kenosha County Jail. Items of Katie's were taken and logged into evidence. Those items consist of an Apple iPod, Canon camera, 2 cellular devices. See other officers' reports for further information. So then we scroll down. Here's the supplementary investigation report. Now, what's weird about all of the arrests, and we'll talk about the arrests on another stream that we do. These supplementary investigation reports look different for a lot of people. Okay, mine looks a little different than this one. Okay, here's more documentation. This is what's going to get sent over to the DA's office. Here's the Kenosha County arrest take custody report. Okay, so when we do these open records requests, we have to be specific about what types of reports we're looking for. Okay. Then we have this blank form from another 2 officers, completely different fucking officers. Here we go. Agent Sheen with the FBI advised he had obtained consent to examine several devices that the KPD had collected from Katie, in her name, when she was arrested for violating the emergency curfew order. Sheen stated that they wanted to return the items to Katie so she could be released, but that the devices needed to be downloaded first, and they had no one on site that could do it. He requested I download the devices as soon as possible and then bring all the devices to him at the command post. He provided me with a copy of their consent to search, from which listed several items, including an iPhone 8, iPhone 11, iPad, 128 gigabyte SD card from a Canon camera, and an 8 gigabyte SD card. I later spoke with F.O. Thorne, who still had all of Katie's items in his possession, as he had not yet placed them into evidence. He then turned over to me everything collected from Katie, which was all the items listed on the consent form except the 8 gigabyte SD card. There was a body camera collected from Katie, which Thorne advised contained an SD card. So I took possession of that as well. When removed, the SD card in the body camera was found to be a 64 gigabyte card. There was no 8 gigabyte card found among her items, so it could not be imaged. And since there was no 64 gigabyte card on the consent form, that was not imaged either. Using the Gray Key device, full file system extractions were obtained from both iPhones and the iPad. The 128 gigabyte SD card from the Canon camera was imaged using FTK Imager. All items were then brought to Sheen, who was advised there was no 8 gigabyte card, and the body camera card was not imaged because it was not listed on the consent form. Sheen then took possession of all the items and provided a copy of the property receipt. As of 10/24/20, I've received no instruction on whether to perform exams on these extractions or if the FBI wants them to perform their own exams. So all extractions will be placed into evidence. Here's the FBI consent form, or property form, I'm sorry. Now, again, when they're talking about they didn't have consent for certain things, those items were handed over later. Here's the consent to search form from the FBI. There's her signature. Here's the digital forensic exam request. This is for each of the other items. Now, the FBI has not given us any of their documentation for the SD cards that I know she handed over to them during their private outdoor meeting. So there you go. There's some more juicy truth for you. Now, I'm going to play a few videos. These are relatively short. Okay. It's going to be some law enforcement interaction with protesters. Okay. I know some of you have not, most of you have not seen these things because either you're new to my channel, you didn't give a shit the first time we put it up. We're going to play some of it. Now, we're going to be doing a lot of these, guys. So there's going to be tons of videos. We're going to show you tons of documents. After these videos are done, we are going to talk about the Kenosha curfew. Now, I promised you all I'd be writing an article about this. The article that I release will be a little bit more in depth. I'm going to give you guys just the bullet point juice. We're going to show you some documents. This is interesting. So stay tuned for that.
We take up. Fireworks.
Watch it! Keep those shields up, guys! There's rocks coming! There's rocks coming from the middle here.
Please move back across the street. Anyone hurt? Please move back across the street. Watch it. Where is it? Another one! Anyone hurt? I need my anything. Can somebody check my foot? I can't fucking hear out of my left ear. Nobody can hear. Fuck it up. Yeah, you keep fucking gassing now. We move back across the street. Why over there. Look, warming up on the north. There's angry people out there. Can we unify? Can we take the knee all together? Nobody wants to take a knee. I know there's one. I can get out of here. Yeah, that's gas. Take it.
All right, that was from the Menominee Falls Police Department. So they were one of the departments out there. We know there were 51. Each department sent between 3 and 12 officers. 51 different agencies. We have been able to file on 26 of them. So we need your help to file on the other 25. Okay. So start hitting those donations, get those super chats in, become members. We really need your help. The longer we wait, people, the longer they start this, or the faster they destroy this stuff. There's already been records that have been destroyed because it has been too long. We also know for a fact that some of these departments did not keep records of things that went on. We know Kenosha told their people to intentionally not write anything down because they knew that open records requests were going to be filed. A lot of these departments did not keep track of the amount of tear gas that they were launching at people. Okay. Ruben says 7 years record retention. False. 90 days. Sometimes 120. We're over 2 years now, people. Now, let's get into the curfew. Let me pull this stuff up for you. So we know that there were curfew alerts that were sent out. We read that stuff to you yesterday. Okay. We know those things were sent out via the iPause system. And then there were documents that were sent out that looked like this. Okay, as you can see, this one is August 23rd, 2020, state of emergency curfew, County of Kenosha. Sergeant David White, he's with the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department. He's a public information officer. He's actually a pretty cool guy. Okay, now I'm showing you guys a lot of stuff, not just from protester side. We have to show you from the law enforcement perspective as well. If you want a true understanding of things that happened, we have to show you their side as well. Now, we have these documents for all of the different days. We've got it for the 24th. We have it for the 25th. The 26th. Interestingly enough, the 27th, 28th, 29th, we have no documentation for. We have the 30th. We have September 1st. This says that it'll go September 2nd. And then we have September 2nd. As of today, September 2nd, 2020, Kenosha County has ended the state emergency curfew. The decision was announced today after consultation with law enforcement and community leaders. Kenosha Mayor John Antaramian said, after consulting with local law enforcement agencies, I have decided the curfew is no longer needed. The last several nights have been relatively peaceful in the community, and in the judgment of law enforcement, it is appropriate to remove the curfew. However, criminal activity will not be tolerated and arrests will be made if needed. I am hopeful there will be no need to reinstate the curfew in the near future. Now, we also know that that is bullshit. They ended the curfew simply because the federal lawsuit was filed. Which is this document here. So this document is the federal lawsuit that was filed. This is what ended the curfew. Not because police thought, okay, we should probably just end it now. In Kenosha, there are two sets of laws, one that applies to those who protest police brutality and racism, and another for those who support the police. Plaintiffs bring this action to protect their right and the rights of others to protest police brutality, free of retaliation, and free from fear that they will be arrested solely on the basis of the content of their message. Over 9 days, in the end of August 2020, the Kenosha Police Department arrested over 150 peaceful protesters for violating a curfew imposed without legal authority by Sheriff David Beth. Now, we know there were 243 people that were arrested. A lot were peaceful, a lot were not. We'll go through the police arrests on another stream because we talked about that yesterday. There's a bunch of rhetoric, excuse me, there's a bunch of rhetoric that over 100 protesters were from out of state. It is bullshit. That rhetoric went around by mainstream media saying that the majority of protesters arrested were from out of area. And then the telephone game started, and that turned into out of state. We called out V Radio again yesterday for putting that bullshit out there. He said over 100 were from out of state. Get your fucking facts straight. He also, in his video, we didn't point this out yesterday, but in his video, he called Jacob Blake the R word. You know what I'm talking about? For assault, the R word, though, the harsh word. I got to be careful with verbiage. This is the problem that I have with a lot of these people that sit in their basements behind their computers and don't have a fucking clue of what they're talking about and look at little 1-minute clips and then try to put out all types of information. Okay. If you weren't in Kenosha and you don't have the thousands of documents I have, the hundreds and hundreds of videos that I have, stop fucking posting shit online because you have no idea what you're talking about. So this is a 23-page lawsuit for the curfew. The plaintiffs are up here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit because there is a spot because I'm listed as a witness in here. And this is what I talk about, guys, when there's times where I say I can't comment on that, or I can't tell you right now how and why I know this. Okay. Now, in this thing, it also talks about Sheriff Beth is the one that issued the state of emergency. We're going to talk about what really happened with the curfew. Okay, here it goes through all the days and the times. Kenosha County. So it talks about north and south I-94. That's how far the curfew went. Okay. It was basically a 50 square mile radius. A lot of you don't know that. Okay, so it talks about mistreatment of protesters versus militia members. I'm not going to read this whole thing. There's a reason I'm not going to read it. So then there's a part where it says, even though there were both pro-police and anti-police brutality protesters, only anti-police protesters were arrested by Kenosha police officers under this curfew. As journalist Kevin Glowicki states, he spoke with between 15 and 20 people arrested under the curfew. This is while I was in jail. All of them were protesting police brutality. Although he spent the night in jail, he did not find one person arrested under the curfew who had expressed the pro-police viewpoints captured in the videos attached in the complaint. As Mr. Glowicki recounts, while he was stopped another night by Kenosha police officers, he observed pro-police demonstrators walking by without any attention from Kenosha police. That is the lawsuit. Now, what most of you are unaware of, this lawsuit was dropped, and it was dropped by the attorneys, Kimberly Motley and Milo Schwab. The reason being is because the named plaintiffs stopped talking to the attorneys. Without plaintiffs, there's no case. So this curfew is no longer, and it is what it is, right? The lawsuit is gone. The curfew was gone. That was the ultimate objective. Okay. But most of you are unaware that the curfew lawsuit was dropped, and it was dropped by the attorneys because their clients stopped communicating with them and participating in anything further to do with the lawsuit. Why that is, I have no idea. I don't really care, other than it is what it is. Now, the interesting part is that we know that Sheriff Beth implemented no, I don't mean stop paying. They weren't paying, Ruben. I mean literally what I said, people. I'm not fucking coding anything I'm saying. They literally stopped fucking participating in helping the lawyers get all the things that they needed to get. They weren't paying for anything. This was picked up free of charge. They just stopped fucking, being part of any of it. They weren't answering phone calls, none of it. So the attorney said, fuck it, we're dropping it. So I'm waiting for the paperwork of the dismissal to come. We had recently asked for that. I'm waiting for it to come. Again, problem, fucking cell phone. So yeah. So it had nothing to do with paying. So we know Sheriff Beth implemented the curfew on August 23rd. We know that because of documents. We also know that because of a deposition. Now I'm going to show you the deposition stuff on another day, because we have depositions from Miskinnis, Beth, and several other high-ranking officers in Kenosha. There's a lot to kind of unpack with that, so I want to do that on a different day. But I am telling you that we have a deposition where where Beth says that he implemented it, and he says he implemented it because he can. He basically has the almighty power to do what he wants because he is the sheriff. Okay? April says, were they threatened? You guys are not listening to what I'm saying. No, they were not. They just fucking stopped participating. There's no weird shit surrounding it. They just stopped giving a fuck. That's it. It's end. It's over. All right? There's no weird shit behind it. Okay? What we know is under Wisconsin law, the sheriff does not have the authority to implement a curfew. It can be implemented by the county executive. Okay? The county executive was former Chief Morrissey. You know, that racist chief of police for Kenosha Police Department that was prior to Chief Miskinnis? That guy. Now, there's also steps that need to be taken for that as well. There's legal steps. The city common council can vote to give the mayor emergency powers. Now, in order to implement an actual curfew and not like a curfew for, 16-year-olds to be off the street by 10 p.m., we're talking a legitimate state of emergency curfew. Okay? What does the county executive do? They do a lot. They're also people that deny lawsuit money. Okay, so money that was denied to Jacob Blake. That was John Morrissey again. They do a lot. County executives do a lot. So the Common Council can get together and they vote on this to give the mayor emergency powers to implement a curfew. There's legal steps, and we've said this from the beginning. Now, after my arrest, I went in and I tried to get paperwork from the police department, and they said there is no documentation for a curfew. We went to the city attorney's office. They also said that there's no documentation. There's no responsive records for anything about a curfew. ACLU, high-profile attorneys, they were all calling. Their responses that they got was there's no documentation. There's no responsive records to anything about a curfew. So this creates a conspiracy theory that the curfew was fake, that it was unlawful, that it was illegal. There was no curfew. Now, through our investigation, which has taken over 2 years now on this curfew, we were told that by a specific alderman that the Monday after the Blake shooting, so August 24th, that the Common Council convened through a teleconference and that they had voted to give the mayor special powers. There is no documentation of that. And that's concerning. Because when the Common Council in whatever city you're in convenes for any reason, they have to have minutes. Those meetings have to be documented. Now, the only part that's not documented is if they go into a closed session. Out here, and I'm assuming in a lot of other states as well, that those closed session meetings are not open for an open records request. Those are sealed. Okay, it's kind of shitty, but that's unfortunately what it is. We can't find anything. We've never been given anything in regards to any documentation for any type of meeting that happened on the 23rd or the 24th. Now, what's crazy that we found, I want to pull this up for you. So if you guys go, each of your cities has all of their city government stuff, okay? Common Council meetings, all these types of things. Here's Kenosha's. And as you see, you've got, June, July. Okay, this is all for 2020, August, September, right? December. Okay, we go even further, March, February, all of that, right? Fun stuff. Now, I want to show you what a regular meeting looks like. So we can click on minutes over here. And what that's going to do, let me share my screen with you. A lot of goddamn screens, people. A lot of goddamn screens. There we go. So this is what a typical Common Council meeting looks like when they document it. Okay. Some of you go to these things. They're really boring, but some of you go to these things. So it talks about like public works. It talks about city planning commission. There's public safety and welfare committees. Okay. This particular one talks about face coverings and transit vehicles, all that. Communications, petitions, reports of departments, recommendations from the committee on licenses and permits. So these are people that apply for a bartender license or, a restaurant that needs a cabaret license, things like that. Okay. Tells you who's all there, tells you the voting. Some of them abstain, things like that. Ordinances, zoning ordinances. Okay. Then all their little resolutions. This is what a typical meeting looks like. Now, the crazy thing, and remember, I said, if we go back to the meeting on August, we have August 3rd, we have August 17th, we have August 25th, that's Rittenhouse night, and then we have August 28th. So there's no meeting that happens on August 23rd. Okay. Now you can use the excuse that, they couldn't get to the building because of all the protesters and the rioters. Well, you don't know what you're talking about because you're not from Kenosha. First off, they don't meet in any of the buildings where protesters and rioters were. Okay. Second, we know for a fact that they were able to teleconference. Now, the alderman said that they had a meeting on the 24th. But yet there's nothing documented. And there's no documentation through an open records request either. So what's interesting about this, there's two things to note here. Number one, we think that that statement is bullshit. Number two, let's say for argument's sake, they did actually have a meeting, whether in person or by phone. It's not documented. And that's a problem. Because we, the public, have no idea what would have been said. Now you're like, well, Kev, you just said that if they have a meeting behind closed doors, then we're not going to know. Correct. But that also has to be documented that they went into a closed session. Okay. Sassy just said the same thing. If they take behind closed doors, do they maybe not list it at all? It has to be listed that they went into a closed session. Slow down, baby birds. I got you. So let's look at what happened on August 25th. Here's the Common Council official proceedings for August 25th. At a special teleconference meeting of the Common Council held this evening, Alderperson Bogdala presided as acting mayor. Where the fuck is the actual mayor? And stated that he would be voting as an alderperson today. The meeting was called to order at 1 p.m. So there's no riots and crazy box and nut job stuff happening at 1 p.m. None of that's happening. But they all decided to get together on a teleconference. This didn't occur on the 23rd. This didn't occur on the 24th. Yes, April. It depends on the city. It depends on the state. It depends on all that stuff. Each of your local governments are totally different. On roll call, the following members of the Common Council were present. Alderperson Hoggard, Seal, Mikulski, Kangas, Lamakia, Paff, Griffin, Fox, Rosenberg, Peterson, Wilson, Prozansky, Rose, Ruffalo, and Bogdala. Alderperson Kennedy was excused. Very interesting about that individual alderman. Alderman Pizzala joined the meeting at 1:10 p.m. Acting Mayor Bogdala called for a moment of silence and then led the council in the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. Now, full text of the resolution that they came up with is on file in the office of the city clerk. It was moved by Alderperson Mikulski, seconded by Alderperson Peterson to adopt Resolution 13420. It was moved by Alderperson Prozansky, seconded by Alderperson Kangas, to amend the period to 72 hours or 5 p.m. Friday, August 28th, and add the following text. If an extension of this declaration is desired, the mayor shall convene the Common Council for an in-person meeting and notice the meeting with an option to go into closed session. Alderperson Hoggard made a friendly amendment to add that the meeting could be attended by the council members in person or virtually. The maker of the motion accepted the amendment. On a roll call vote, motion to amend carried unanimously. It was moved by Alderperson Lamakia, seconded by Alderperson Rosenberg, to approve as amended, and said resolution was thereupon adopted. Resolution 134-20 by the mayor, so not the actual fucking mayor, by an alder person, not the mayor. Declaration of emergency regarding civil unrest granting additional authority to the mayor. Adopted August 25th, 2020. At 2:11 p.m., there being no further business to come before the Common Council, it was moved by Alderperson Mikulski, seconded by Alderperson Prozansky to adjourn. On a voice vote, motion carried. Approved. By the mayor, John Antaramian, who is not at this fucking meeting. So there's several issues with this. Number one, we have a curfew that is adopted by the county sheriff. That is unlawful. They do not have that power. I don't give a shit what the guy says. They do not have that power. Okay? Law enforcement does not have that power. The county executive could do this, but we need some voting things going on. The county executive is also not here either. So the next person is the mayor. We know for a fact the mayor was not here. There's no documentation for the 23rd. There's no documentation for the 24th. And the earliest documentation that shows up is on the 25th. The mayor was not even at this meeting. A bunch of fucking aldermen sat around on a phone call and adopted a curfew without the very one person that can actually do this. And they extended the curfew for 3 more days. So the argument goes to, if there was no actual legitimate curfew put in place by anybody who was legally allowed to do it, then adopting it for 3 more days, did that make 5 days of curfew unlawful? Now, that's the argument that gets presented with the courts. I think every one of us in here can say that this was an emergency. If you deny that it was, there's probably something fucking wrong with you. Okay? State of emergencies are either man-made or natural disaster. I think we can safely assume that what happened in Kenosha was a man-made disaster. So the argument would be, could Kenosha create a state of emergency and issue a curfew? The answer to that in the legal system would probably be yes. And then it would have to be all these little arguments about, well, did they follow the steps correctly? Ultimately, the lawsuit may not have gone anywhere because ultimately there was a man-made disaster. But some people may have gotten paid. The city may have lost some money over this. Could have been some civil rights violations. We'll never know the actual outcome because the lawsuit was dropped. However, the truth behind the curfew is that no legitimate representative that could actually implement the curfew did. It was done by Sheriff Beth initially. The mayor was not part of this. The county executive was not part of this. A bunch of aldermen took it upon themselves. Now, August 28th, I'm going to pull this one up. August 28th. This is 3 days after the Rittenhouse shooting. At a special teleconference meeting of the Common Council held this evening, His Honor Mayor John M. Antaramian presided. August 28th. So he was not there August 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. 5 days. August 28th is the first time that we hear that Mayor Antaramian was actually here. At a special teleconference meeting of the Common Council held this evening, His Honor Mayor John M. Antaramian presided. The meeting was called to order at 5:35 p.m. On roll call, the following members of the Common Council were present: Alderperson Haggard, Seal, Mikulski, Kangas, Lamakia, Paff, Griffin, Fox, Rosenberg, Kennedy, Pizzala, Peterson, Wilson, Prozansky, Rose, Ruffalo, and Bogdala. Mayor Antaramian then led the council in the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. Discussed law enforcement plans for crime prevention in continuing protests that have led to deaths, personal injury, and property damage. At 5:39 p.m., it was moved by Alderperson Bogdala, seconded by Alderperson Paff, to go into closed session regarding this item. Pursuant to the state statute, to consider strategy for crime detection or prevention associated with potential riotous events. On a voice vote, motion carried. The Common Council adjourned the meeting in closed session. So I wanted to show you guys that because this is all of the documentation that has been available and released and public, and the only documentation that exists. And I put that out there because I wanted to show you the 28th for what happened, following the Rittenhouse thing, but also to prove my point about even when they go into closed session, it is logged in the minutes. It has to be. Now, the other crazy part, and when I write the article, this will be in there, but I'm giving you guys a little bit of juice ahead of time because you're here with me today. The other crazy part is that when the ACLU was calling, and everybody's calling to try to get documentation about this curfew because they want to see if it's lawful, media outlets are calling because they want to see if they're exempt from the curfew as well. Okay? Nobody can answer this question. Everyone keeps telling them there's no documentation. There's no documentation. Now, the federal lawsuit gets filed. The curfew gets dropped. And they're all calling again. Now we want the documentation again. Where is it? None of these people get documentation for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden they start getting all these documents about the curfew. Okay? Here's the crazy part. What the city of Kenosha doesn't realize is how dumb they are. So we have a communication from a government entity in Kenosha. It's an email asking the higher ups for the paperwork. Where is the original paperwork that went out about the curfew? We can't seem to find it anywhere. And they say that they can't find they can't find the documentation. It's nowhere, but let us get you one that you can give to them. And this was now a fabricated curfew document that was then sent out to them and then sent out to the media and the ACLU. There's an entity in Kenosha that is frantically trying to find this paperwork, and they can't. And they're told that there is no paperwork. It's because, guys, this shit never happened. The legal steps that were supposed to have taken place did not happen. Now, everybody says, oh, but Kevin, the curfew. Well, here's the thing with the curfew, guys. It obviously didn't stop riotous activity in the city of Kenosha. It didn't. It did nothing. Did absolutely nothing. Everybody cheered on the curfew. Everybody cheered it on. Now, we've found hundreds of comments, even from the right, that said the curfew was bullshit and all it does is lock innocent people in their house. And that's exactly what happened. And businesses were forced to shut down and they lost out on thousands and thousands of dollars. So there's the real story about what happened with the Kenosha curfew. Now, we're going to play you a little video here. So this is, I want to be clear about this. This is a theory that we are working on. because the amount of evidence that we have collected, and I did not include everything in this video because we have to hold some stuff back. Okay. This is in regards to a potential fourth person being shot in Kenosha. Now, at no time am I saying that Kyle Rittenhouse is responsible for this. I personally don't believe he is. However, with the amount of evidence that we've collected, it is more likely than not that there is somebody out there. Now, we have seen live streams or heard of live streams that people swear they saw it. Even the right talks about this. So I am not the only person. Okay? If you have concrete proof that a fourth person was shot, we have people that we work with that are willing to pay for that. But it has to be actual stuff. We got to be able to verify it. But we have people that will pay for it. And we know that the right talked about it when they were restreaming because they saw it and they lost their shit. We're having a problem finding those streams. We know people fucking filmed it. We can't find it. We know it's out there. We know somebody has it. There have been hundreds of people that have also talked about this. But Kenosha blasted me. So I'm going to show you a little bit here. Some of you have not seen this.
We're going to squad is back up. You're in the crossfire. The officer down is in the ER. Down. 5-5. I should have 3. I need a perimeter around the correction.
Hang on. Sorry, I had the speed changed. Give me a second.
That squad is back up. You're in the crossfire. The officer down is in the ER. Down. 5-5. 5-4-5-5. I should have 3. I need a perimeter around the correctional center at 6-3 and 1-4. I should have 3 subjects inside this fenced area unless they made it to the viaduct or the elevation.
Okay, just someone is
Here, right over here. ER.
It is covering. 5-6, go ahead. Copy 6-3-1-4.
Meeting any officers.
10-4. Copy 2 civilians shot in the ER, not an officer.
6 company, just so you guys know, no officer down, 2 civilians in the ER.
Cat 4. No officer, 2 victims being brought in. 1-4.
6-3 and 1-4. 541 are going, and I are going in the yard.
Command to units, the shooting location is at the car lot at 6-3 in Sheridan. Looking at the video, there's some blood in the area of that lot. 5-1 into the command. Go ahead. No off.
I believe he might have had white on because these 2 have dark clothes on. One had white, so.
The one into command. I have a third gunshot victim walking into the ER right now. Victim claims male assault rifle or some sort of rifle behind the car source or the house.
Take some cover.
10-4, hunker down.
Five 1 incident command.
Go ahead, 571.
Care of station 1, possible 4th.
10-9,
97. Aware of a possible 4th victim at station 1. KMH has alerted me to that.
Affirmative.
The shooting took male white with a rifle. He was running southbound, turned around and fired into the crowd. I'm trying to get people down here, get statements.
So I appreciate you coming back. Thanks again. Nice meeting you.
That's what it is, right? Yeah. So were there confirmed 2 people?
Yeah, one person was shot there, one was shot there.
We got
Or some
four
shooters.
gunshot victims.
4 gunshot victims.
So 2 were brought here, 1 walked in, and then 1's at station 1.
Oh, wow.
That they're taken someplace else. So I don't know if that one was part of this.
Who knows, right? Yeah. Wow.
But supposedly there was another victim down there.
That's what we were told, yeah, when we got here.
Walked in.
Did you guys get all we know about this yet, or?
Go ahead. What's your name?
I'm sorry?
What's your name?
Mimi.
Trevor.
Trevor, okay. Why is it that you all are arresting people that are bringing in supplies?
As far as what kind of supplies?
Medical supplies for the people that are out here that
I don't believe that we've done that.
Actually,
literally got
yesterday,
Not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Trapper, you took our U-Haul
like,
yesterday.
yesterday you all
U-Haul?
confiscated a U-Haul. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we did take the U-Haul.
You remember
and we found bats in there and armor and everything else. So
Right. So
that's
my
not food.
question is it okay for you all to be armored and not us?
Well, it's not okay
Because
to bring.
you guys come out here and riot gear, right?
I understand.
And we're coming out here, most of us. Honestly, I think I'm the only person out here within this group that's armed. So
No, that's fine. That's fine. But here's the thing. And I'm not gonna stick around all night and occupy you guys' time. I appreciate talking to you.
No, but
this is my duty uniform. This is what we wear to work.
Right.
With everything going on here in this city, burnt up and everything else, and 4 people shot the night before, we're a little.
So it kind of details some very concerning information. Now, I put that in there because I wanted you guys to really understand the magnitude of what this video talks about. Okay. Getting records from Kenosha Police Department has been very difficult, and we've had to sue them in order to get the records, and that cost a couple $100. We won some of those records. Okay. Right now, Kenosha Police Department is in violation of a court order because one of those things that we filed that we sued over, they have not produced, and that is a lot of records. We need your help so we can take them back to court for contempt of a court order. There's another one that doesn't have a time limit that we're still waiting on, and that is even more records. This is the reason that we've had to go to other agencies. 1, to see what they were doing, but 2, to get a clear picture about what really happened in Kenosha. This is why we ask you guys for donations. Now, from the thousands of documents that we've been able to get, we have been able to identify officers that were out there from the 26 different agencies that we filed on. We've gotten their reports, what they were doing. We have a look at the Bearcat that was disabled by a firework, the Bearcat that was shot at by a militia member. Okay. A hyperspike, we'll show you video of that in one of the episodes that we do. A hyperspike is like the LRAD. That's that very loud noise, that car alarm sound, but this is a handheld one. Okay. We've been able to get how much these things cost, the damage that was done, how much light poles cost. Okay. We'll go through some witness statements. We're going to show you guys a lot. So stay with us. Now we're going to play a video because we have so many videos to go through. We're going to play this one for you guys. Alexa remembers that noise. So this is after they've pushed people out. This is August 25th. This is the Racine County Sheriff's Department. This is one of their body cams. Okay. They were using body cams and they were also using GoPros. Some of our open records requests, when we asked for body cam, we were denied because they said they didn't have body cam. And then from a different report we got, we found out they were using GoPros. Now we have to be specific and file again for GoPro footage. Okay. So that's where some of these are a little bit different. But this is one of the body cams from a Racine County sheriff after they have taken people out of Civic Park, and they are now on Sheridan Road. They're in between Civic Park, and to the left here is the post office. This is where I was standing.
Slow down here, guys. There you go. Watch our left flank here, guys. Where do you want us? We're just gonna split the back out. We're gonna go in front of it. Well, hey, Rand, yep, that's fine. We'll break it right here. I'll be with you guys. Hold it right here for a second. Hey, get dressed up online. Dress up line. Hey.
Hang on, let me pause because there is a little bit of misinformation. So on YouTube, Station 1 was where the one gunshot victim to the head, talking about Joseph Rosenbaum, was told to go because the hospital was locked down. False. Rosenbaum was taken to Kenosha KMH. So was Gage. They were not taken to Station 1.
Are you good? I'm good. Yep. You're the anarchy man. Seal down, folks. You can. Seal down. That is cutting me off there and hitting me in my face now. Where at? They're walking out the side now. We're just each cabin building between the three. All right, watch that. See that? The goggle back there? Watch him. That's the area.
Right forward,
We're gonna start pushing, guys. All right. We'll start pushing. Stay tight, all right?
We completed that assignment. We didn't see anyone in the area with any guns for 43. All the protesters had their tires slashed on 7th Avenue at 59.
Hey, watch these guys back here. They're picking up shit behind that tree. Forward at the half step. Forward at the half step. Move! Move! Back! 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 Move! Turn up! Hey, slow down! Slow down, you guys are good! Move! Back! 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 Dress it up, dress it up, dress it up, dress it up. Dress it up, man. Dress it up, dress it up, dress it up.
There's a part that was just said, and I want you guys to pay attention to that. I want to make sure you guys catch this. The point of this too, guys, is not to, you know, we're not necessarily just showing you, you know, hey, move back, you know, fuck the police, all this stuff, okay? Listen to the stuff that is being said in the background. The Bearcat operators, which is West Allis Police Department, and we're going to show you those. Again, we have tons and tons of videos that we're going to show you. They just made a comment to the press, well, to everybody, but they said, including the press, to get on the sidewalk. We want you to record. We want you to record everything. I want you guys to remember that, because in another video that we'll show you in a different stream, not tonight, but in a different stream, the very same department that just said that is going to give an order to target the media.
Short. Male to the left behind the girl with a broom shirt.
Fire department.
Let me pause again. We have to address these things. Okay, so again on YouTube, because of what we just said about who was taken to what hospitals and blah, 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 I am telling you guys, you are repeating rhetoric, bullshit, misinformation that went around. And in your heads, this is what became truth. I am trying to correct all of this. So they asked me, why wouldn't they open the emergency room to Anthony? I am telling you right now, when there were victims, they were allowed into KMH. Okay? Now, KMH was panicked about people coming in and out of the hospital. So if you are not injured in any way, shape, or form, you are not allowed in there. Why was Anthony not taken to the emergency room? Because he was already dead. And for whatever reason, the order was to bring him to Station 1. I need you guys to forget everything that you heard. The point of what we're doing here is to correct all of the misinformation and disinformation that goes out. So I'm going to correct it as it comes up, but don't be surprised if your comments start getting deleted because I don't want this shit posted on the platform. Please ask the questions. Ask the questions. But when I play a video that specifically outlines where everybody went and people start posting certain people went to this place or that place and it contradicts what I have just posted or said, it's getting erased. Okay? There is so much shit, guys, that has gone out there. There is so much. So I'm not blaming you guys for having all the misinformation and repeating this stuff. I'm not at all. But that's the point of what we're doing here. We're going to play. You're going to see Rosenbaum, or I'm sorry, you're going to see Anthony Huber get picked up. You're going to see it. We're going to show it to you. Okay? It is blurred out because there's certain images and shit that we can't play. Okay? There's going to be a lot of stuff. We're going to show you Gage as well. We're going to blur that one. We have to. We don't have a choice. We have the originals, but we got to blur it for the purposes of what we're doing here. Okay? Ask the questions. But when I correct you, I'm trying to give you the factual information.
County Bearcat, go. All right, I need you guys to go back on the chair and link up with the other Bearcats. And with Field Force 2, I need you to start pushing those people south with gas. We are on Sheridan. We're on the right flank of the Field Force team.
You just heard right there. We need you to start pushing those people south with gas. This is orders that is coming from command. We talked about this yesterday. This was intentional.
We're the closest ones to the park. We're the farthest ones forward. All right, you need to move forward with additional units. Start pushing towards 57. We have 2 units to our immediate left. We are behind the Field Force team. I'm not sure what you want us to do. We are the ones most farthest in. We have 2 Bearcats. Ramps to our left.
Get ready to be up front here. I want your left one. That's really it. Like, aren't you sick of seeing the same people die and nothing happens? You got a bunch of them, bro. Permanent, we need you to push them south with gas and keep them out of the park. That's plywood people right here. Plywood. Prepare for gas. Prepare for gas.
Y'all would be out here for your kids too. I need y'all to understand that. Y'all would be out here for your kids too.
Get a flashlight. Can't see shit anywhere. We're giving our position away with the light. I got hit with the light. Are you guys good? Yeah. Anybody hurt? Anybody hurt? Okay. Hey, move forward. Break off this way. Right here. Face this way. Face this way. Right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. Face that way. Go. We're moving. Move. All right. I guess we're going back this way. Right. Get up there. Get up there. Get up there. Move. Move. That's burning. Oh, yeah. Fireworks. Right there. Get back, sir! Go!
Southeast corner of the parking lot.
All right, spread the left. Whoa. That's enough.
All right, that's that. I want to show you my perspective from that situation so you guys can get kind of a full understanding of what that portion was. So this is my body cam that I was wearing. I was live streaming this, but I also was wearing a body cam. So we're seeing a unit of police backing away towards the courthouse here in the park area. Military, you have Walworth County Sheriff's Department here in this vehicle, West Dallas Police.
Get out of the roadway. The lawful order. Get out of the roadway and move along.
So you do have police are stationed up.
Go back to fucking West Dallas, bitch. I'm fucking from Kenosha, bitch. Right here, sheriff, asshole.
Please back up. Back away from the Bearcat, please. Boy, teacher, please back up. And I'm going to park Thursday out of the road. Very good, sir. Move along.
Got some injured people here.
This is the police. Please move out of the roadway and onto the sidewalk. Do it now.
Waukesha. There's a gentleman up on a turret. So they set up a perimeter around the courthouse. They do have several different police departments out here from across Wisconsin. The crowd is straight ahead there. The police keep asking them to remove themselves from the streets, that they're giving lawful orders to go onto the sidewalks. So a little bit of a standoff.
This is the plan. Everyone to the left of the blue rescue vehicle. Please step back. To the left of the rescue vehicle. Please step back. To the left of the rescue vehicle. Step back.
So again, as you can see, several police officers as well as military guarding the park behind all of these dumpsters, or garbage trucks, I mean. Barricades all around the courthouse, the jail.
This is the police. Move out of the roadway and look at the sidewalk. Please vacate the area. You're in violation of the city curfew. Please vacate the area.
So the police
This is an unlawful assembly. You're blocking the street. Please vacate the street.
Police are trying to enforce the Kenosha city curfew that's in effect.
This is an unlawful assembly. Please vacate the area.
Medical and
even most of the press has backed away and onto the sidewalks.
This is an unlawful assembly. Please vacate the area. Please clear the street. You are blocking the street. Clear the street, please. This is the police. This is a lawful order to get out of the roadway and move along. This is the police. You are blocking the roadway. Please move on to the sidewalk. Move along. Do it now.
See, now while the crowd does have their hands up, they are screaming obscenities to the police.
Not a man, and stay back. Please stay back and clear the area. You know the Lincoln pickup truck. Leave the area. Do it now.
Police are gathered up behind us in full tactical gear. So as the police are starting to advance from behind the vehicles,
You're blocking the roadway. Please move on to the sidewalk and move along. Do it now. Blocking the roadway. Put your hand up to the national address. Come on, follow the order. Good. We're asking you to please clear the area. Those of you who remain are in the right to clear the area.
so since that crowd got a lot closer, the sheriff's department has also moved closer in a squad, little squadron of law enforcement. They do have the floodlights on now. They are shining it on several members of the crowd.
We're asking you to please clear the roadway. Legal lawful order. We're asking you to simply move back on the sidewalk and go home. We appreciate you keeping your hands in upright position. Let me know that you're not harm us or yourself. But your past aggressive behavior is not. This is the police. You're blocking the roadway. Please move on to the sidewalk and go along.
The crowd does still move up closer, so this is going to get interesting. Standing literally in the center of the crowd as well as the sheriff's department on the sidewalk, while the sheriff's department, military vehicles, and protesters and some rioters are in the street. There is a drone flying above us.
go. Uh-oh, there. They send these cats. It's there. Way to de-escalate, gentlemen. Fucking role model.
So as you can see, you do have police officers that are shining lights on protesters. They do have their air rifles.
You point a gun at me, dude. Put the gun down. I don't have a gun here. You point a gun at me.
It's not peaceful. We block the roadway, refuse to law enforcement orders.
So this is National Guard. Police have moved up. As well as the Guard has moved up. They're creating a perimeter. So the police in the armored vehicles are addressing the crowd, appreciating that they have their hands up, signifying they don't have weapons, but they're still asking them to go home.
Please move out of the roadway. That's code class. You are not allowed in the roadway. You are illegally doing something. You are just as illegal as the people in the roadway. You can record it from the sidewalk just as well. We want you to record everything. Thank you for your cooperation. For those of you blocking the roadway, we're asking you to please clear the roadway.
So now they're even making sure that press stays out of the street as well, saying we can record everything from the sidewalk, and they absolutely want us to record. You do have most of the press recording from the sidewalks, but some have stepped out into the street. Now you do see Sheriff's Department here for their emergency response teams, helping Kenosha PD as well as the Kenosha County Sheriff's Department. National Guard is here as well, and you do have other police stations from other cities throughout Wisconsin that have come down to assist due to the chaos and destruction that happened yesterday throughout Kenosha. So even just standing here filming, kind of documenting what's going on, standing in front of these gentlemen, this is extremely intense. You do have two gentlemen here. You have one that is holding what I'm assuming is a weapon to shoot tear gas, and then probably mace balls on this gentleman here. The police are blocking the roadway from the protesters coming up any further closer to the courthouse. We're currently on 56th Street and Sheridan in Kenosha. I'm standing on the sidewalk by the post office. Now, as you can see, you do have law enforcement that is facing me, guarding a perimeter around the officers that are facing the crowd to make sure that they don't get flanked. crowd has moved up extremely close to law enforcement. This has definitely gotten so from behind me, protesters have started throwing stuff at the police, and about 3 feet from me, a protester got hit center mass with gas. You could sense the escalation from the protesters. You could sense all of it. They got closer, chanting louder, and started throwing stuff at the police. And then from behind my flank, rioters started throwing stuff at the police that were guarding all of those police officers' perimeter. And the minute things started being thrown, police immediately started firing tear gas to disperse the crowd.
All right. So that's that. So literally, the dude standing next to me got hit. They launched a CS canister at him, and it hit him directly in the chest. They're not allowed to do that. Not allowed to do that. That's illegal as fuck. All right, and then all that big group of cops that you just saw that were coming down. So this is where they all came from. So this is all like a lot of behind the scenes shit, guys, that you guys, even if you were there, you know, a lot of this shit, you guys had no idea.
We're going to be going in front of us around here unless we get some cover from here. Let me get our back here. All right, prepare to move. Yeah, let's see the back. I don't know. At first I thought we were going to be in front of the armor, and A might be behind the armor, and just punch it. What we're trying to do is keep people moving forward. They're in the street. I understand. Real slow, real slow. Hey, real slow, real slow. Move back, move back. You ready? Let's move on. Move, nice and slow, nice and slow. Just this slow. Move back into command. Press right, press right. That's right. Not you guys. You guys are good. Look at the guy on your right. That's right. Yeah. Let him out. All right. All right. Hold up on the right. Hey, together, guys. Move. Nice and slow. All right, we're going to get in front of the barricade.
You're blocking the roadway. Please move out of the sidewalk. You move along. Do it now. To the area.
What do you got?
All right, so that gives you. Sorry, that's fucking loud as fuck in my ear. That gives you perspective of kind of where they all came from, what they were doing. Now, to give you a little bit more behind the scenes, so this is what I'm talking about when I mentioned yesterday, right, that these guys were at the Kenosha County Detention Center. They were at Bradford, right? These places are 2.8 miles away, 5.3 miles away, okay? Then you had them coming out from behind the courthouse area. We'll play some of that footage too, because that's another thing is that when we got the courthouse camera footage, we asked for all the cameras, and they said that they only had cameras from the 23rd, 24th, 25th that basically surrounded the courthouse. And then the parking lot that's behind like the police department, we had asked for those cameras. They said they didn't have them. So they lied to us. And we ended up getting them from the National ACLU. So it was a big, giant fucking lie. And we ended up getting them anyway. But because these guys were so far away, okay, this is how they were getting there.
Let's put our glasses on because of what it is. Been long guns in the crowd, just so you know. Been long guns in the crowd. What? So we are going to be going outside the fence. Keep going, you guys moving. Mask up. Up towards the gate. You got a good seal? You got a good seal going? You sure? Huh? The norm is what's been happening is if they start filtering out, and it's been all over the fucking city. So I don't know what the plan is for you guys, but they burned all downtown and uptown, so they're gonna have to spread further to get anything. They also had time to organize a little better, and the outsiders are here. No problem.
We have a lot of guys on the inside of the fence, but there's no way to get out of that fence besides right here. So we need to walk all of our guys around the outside of the fence and get online on the outside of the fence and push these people out of the park. There never have been two Bearcats out there launching gas at the point. Let's go meet up with the National Guard and we'll organize all this chaos. All right? Okay. He said we're going to meet up with National Guard.
See, now I want you guys to pay attention to this too. So this is nowhere near all the people, okay? But look at the amount of vehicles, right? You have personnel that's hanging out in this parking lot behind the courthouse. There's no bullshit happening anywhere back here, okay? And there is a bunch of personnel that's here. Now, again, the large amount of personnel is sitting at Bradford and KCDC. But these people could have been stationed in various areas. Okay. So when you have these YouTubers and these other morons that sit here and talk about how, oh, you want to blame the police? Fuck you. Oh, you aren't going to like the way the police handle things. If these people, law enforcement and National Guard, were stationed up everywhere throughout this city, especially basically in this combat zone, there is no need, none, for any armed citizen or militia type person. This entire area would have been surrounded by law enforcement and National Guard. There was over 2,000 of them.
You want us to too?
All right, so you guys get the idea of that. I'm going to play 2 more videos, and then we are going to call it a night because I don't want to overwhelm you guys with too much stuff. Okay, so we saw just right there, number one, they're making plans to push everybody out of the park. Okay, that was already planned. Why they did that, I have no idea, because everybody was in the park. And this is where people say, and you watch this all over in the entire country in 2020 when this stuff was happening, okay? Law enforcement pushed these people into neighborhoods. They pushed them into downtown areas, okay? And then what happens? People are getting pissy. You have opportunistic criminals that are running around on riotous behavior, and then they start breaking shit. There's nothing in the park to break. And a lot of these situations occurred in parks. Nobody's breaking grass, okay? They push them into neighborhoods and downtown areas so that when there's opportunistic riotous behavior, not by everybody, it allows them to then use militarized systems on American citizens, okay? It gives them excuses to do things. This is what people don't understand, and you need to understand this, okay? I know everybody watched the live streams, and a lot of you were cheering it on, and then the other side was losing their fucking minds. You have to pay close attention and stop just fucking watching an image. You have to think logically about why things are happening. We are the only media company that has done so much research and digging, and I can only do it on Kenosha because I can't even afford to fucking finish Kenosha without your help. I'm sure if we dug this hard in Seattle and Portland and fucking Minneapolis and all these other cities, okay, if we had the funding for this, I'm sure we would be able to show you guys the same exact type of shit, all types of plans that are happening, what really happened, who's at fault, all the behind the scenes looks at things, right? And we're showing from both sides because we have to, okay? As live streamers that were out there, we saw just what our cameras could see. There was so much information that none of us knew. There was so much information that a lot of us, and even me on these days, at these times in real life, we were speculating things, okay? Even now, if you go ask Mercado Media, Mercado's going to tell you some stuff that he's going to tell you what he saw on the camera. That's what was happening. And then there's going to be a lot of stuff that is speculated. There's still going to be some misinformation that he regurgitates, right? And it's not fault of his or any other live streamer. But there's more information that needs to be shown. So I'm going to show you two videos. They're very quick, and then we're going to end this. So we saw these guys gearing up, okay? And they've been out there for a long time. They're getting tear gassed themselves. They're getting shit thrown at them, okay? This is what they look like when they're fucking exhausted. They've been out there for, hours and hours and hours on end. So this is inside of the Kenosha County Courthouse. This is another area that they were staged up in. Now, allegedly, none of the video footage from inside the courthouse, which is heavily fucking recorded, none of that was saved, allegedly. So all those guys that were sitting out in front of the courthouse, standing, in the fence line area, right? They're swapping guys in and out of the courthouse. Guys that are getting injured are going back in. You got some fresh units that are coming out. So another look with them being bussed in. And they're being bussed in, guys, because they're 2.8 and 5.3 miles away. That's why. There's over 2,000 law enforcement and National Guard. So we know that there were 1,500 National Guard that were out there. We know that Kenosha themselves had over 500 officers between KPD and KCSD. And then with the 51 agencies, It's another over 500 officers. So the reality is there's over 3,000 personnel that are out here. And the majority of them are not in any of these areas that they needed to be. If they would have stationed up around the hot zone, if they would have barricaded areas to prevent protesters and rioters to get into downtown, to get into the neighborhoods, to be pushed that far down Sheridan Road, they were outnumbered. Do not believe the rhetoric that there were thousands and thousands and thousands of protesters out there. It wasn't. This is fucking Kenosha. Okay? This is not Seattle. This is not Portland. This is not fucking Minneapolis. This is not fucking Memphis. Okay? Kenosha did not have that, and they still don't have that. All right, the last video I want to play for you guys, because we saw a little bit of the damage and wreckage that happened. Okay, we cannot not see this stuff. This is all part of it. So we're going to play. I think this is the one. No, that's not the one. Fuck. We're going to get into those videos in a minute. Hang on, I got to find the right one. I fucked it up. God damn it. I had it ready for you guys, and I fucked it up. My bad. Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to sift through a bunch of fucking videos here. Okay, this is the one I want for you guys. That's a quick one. And then I got one more for you. This is the last one, I promise, for the night.
You signed up to terrorize the city! You're terrorists! Fuck oil! Heads up! Let's go with alcohol. Yep.
This is all uptown Kenosha. This is the result of pushing everybody out of the park. What was the purpose of pushing the entire crowd out of the park?
No, it's not yet.
Don't come over here tearing our shit up. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Take that shit to the police station. We gotta live over the phone.
That building right there that you guys just saw on fire. So we heard about in the Mark Jensen trial, the grandkids. What's the fucking name of this building? I always forget this fucking building name. God damn it. There's a problem doing this shit at night. The Brotherhood? Grandkids are going to type it. It's Brotherhood something. What's the name of this fucking thing? It was mentioned in a Mark Jensen trial, and people are like, what the hell is that? And we put it up that this whole building burned down. That's what that building is. I can't think of the fucking name of it now. What's up, Don? Danish Brotherhood. That's what it is. That's the Danish Brotherhood. So a lot of you that were with us for the Mark Jensen trial, and they had mentioned about going to the Danish Brotherhood, and you guys were like, what the hell is that? It's that building there.
That's the door, shorty. That's the door.
There's that. So you see the effect that this had. This is after they pushed people out of Civic Park. People ran into the neighborhoods. They went several blocks up into Uptown. That's all Uptown shit that you guys saw. Okay. You see when the National Guard starts showing up, people just get the fuck out of there. There's a very, small amount of people that are now in this area. It's ridiculous. So look, are riotous people at fault? 100%, and they need to be arrested and they need to be jailed. Okay? Whatever the consequence of that looks like. People that set fires, they need to be jailed. 100%. So all these people that are like, oh, Kevin over here condones fucking riots. I don't. I love when they try to fucking say that. And I don't know how many times I got to make that clear. But law enforcement is at fault here as well. We went through the timeline of when decisions were made. Day one, when they shoot Jacob Blake and shit starts hitting the fan, they had that entire night and all of the next day to figure out how to get their shit together and get people down here. You had all types of law enforcement that didn't even give a shit about the mutual aid call. They were already driving. FBI was coming from not only Wisconsin, but Chicago and Portland. U.S. Marshals were told to stop what they were doing in Portland and immediately get to Kenosha. You had all types of federal agencies that were out here. Upwards to 3,000 law enforcement and National Guard. Okay, but just with the National Guard and Kenosha was 2,000. You had at least another 1,000 from different agencies. If they would have kept these people in Civic Park, especially on August 25th, we wouldn't have had a bunch of bullshit. But they pushed them out of the park on August 24th as well. They pushed them out of the area on August 23rd. A lot of the damage that you hear about to the school that's behind the park, that was all blamed on protesters and rioters. And of course, those two words, are synonymous when it comes to goofies on the internet and fucking law enforcement. I'm going to say at least half of the damage done to that school was done by law enforcement when they were shooting their militarized weapons at people. And you can hear it in the videos if you pay attention. So that's tonight. We went a little bit longer because it is Friday night. We're going to end it because there's a lot to unpack. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep playing a bunch of videos for you guys in other streams. We're going to keep showing you documents. Okay. Today, the big one was about the Kenosha curfew. All right. If you want to help us continue to keep providing the truth about what happened, go to the pinned comment. You can donate there. We have a GoFundMe. Sign up as a monthly member on YouTube. All of that stuff helps. Okay? Read the articles. Never.Stop.Voices.com. That's about to get fucking shut off because we're so goddamn broke over here at this fucking point. So go read the articles before I lose the fucking website. All right. We'll go live tomorrow. I got some other videos I want to show. We got some editing to do because we're going to show you some graphic stuff, and we got to be very careful about that stuff. So I got to edit some parts where we got to add a blur feature. Okay. But the video itself is not fucking edited. We just got to throw a blurry thing on top of some of the stuff that we're going to be showing you throughout these streams. Tomorrow, and probably from now on, I'm only going to stream on YouTube. I'm not going to multi-stream on Facebook and YouTube. It'll just be YouTube. So be sure to join us. Make sure you guys are sharing this stuff out. Hit the thumbs to like it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not, and hit the bell for all notifications. I am out. Hopefully you guys are getting educated.